to the 12 Days of Soapmas 2021. Now, for those who don't know, I do have a P.O. box and I receive fan designs from all over the world. Some of the soaps are simpler, some of the soaps are far more complicated, some of them have glitter on them. All of them are spectacular, and one of the #1 things that was requested by viewers this year was to see more fan designs be created. So that's what we're doing today. I went through hundreds of designs and I finally settled on the one for this video. So there were multiple things that caught my eye. #1, the creator was pretty specific about what techniques and stuff to use in the soap. And then #2, the creator was younger. They are 10 years old and they said it would mean a lot to them for me to do this. So here we are. Before I set anything up, get any molds ready, etc., I want to show you the design we're working with. Here is the design. Now don't worry, I will show this to you later on in the video after we've made the soap. It's called Deadly Waters. It's by 𝐵𝐻𝐻𝐸. They are 10 years old. There's a little part right here where it says it'd mean a lot to them if I did it. They want an In the Pot Swirl, and then they also want down here some poppy seeds in a layer. So this I think is supposed to kind of look like sand. Then they want In the Pot Swirl to look like water, and then to put soap frosting across the whole top and use a soap scraper to scrape it into the shape of a shark fin. They also specified to use banana or vanilla fragrance. However, because both banana and vanilla fragrance will discolor this lovely design to a brown, I'm going to use a fruit fragrance that has some vanilla smell in there. That way we still kind of do what they wanted, but we can also see this beautiful design they created and the soap won't just turn mucky and brown looking. Like I said before, I have a few more things to set up in my area, so let's go ahead and do that before we get into the soap making. Okay, I have my oils here. I have my purple soap mold. I'm actually only going to be making 10 of these bars. It's going to be in a smaller mold today. That should be easier for me to scrape the top with the soap scraper that I make. Okay, instead of the berries and cream fragrance, I'm actually going to use Ray of Sunshine. This is from Brambleberry, and I think this is going to just smell a little more like what Amina had in mind. It's very, very fruity and kind of smells like tropical, so it sort of gives like a beachy feeling to it, whereas this is kind of more foody and has a more bakery feeling to it. All right, protective eyewear ready to go, hairnet on, long sleeves on. I'm gonna go get some colorants that I think are going to match what I have here on my design sheet, and I'll show you guys mixing that up and kind of how I pick those, and we'll make some soap. Okay, let's go ahead and talk colors. So I have all of my raw colorants just laying out here. They haven't been mixed up with oil yet. And then of course I have my designs. So here's the 4 blues. These 2 are pretty similar. The one in the middle is quite a bit darker. And then the one up here looks like Tahitian teal to me, with maybe even a little bit of titanium dioxide. I'll have to see how it looks in the actual soap. So what I did was I put Blue Tide, Ultramarine Blue, True Yellow, Tahitian Teal, and Ultramarine Blue with Blue Oxide. And I think that's going to get me roughly the colors that I need. And then I can also see some white in this design, but I think because it wasn't mentioned here on the side, that's just some extra space that wasn't like colored in with a crayon. So I'm not gonna add any white because it wasn't listed as a color. And of course, I also have some poppy seeds to go down in this bottom layer. I am adding oil straight from my base oil container into these. You could add some extra olive oil or whatever very runny oil you have on hand into the containers and not take anything away from your base oils, and that would increase your superfat because you're adding in extra oil that's not going to be saponified and isn't accounted for in your recipe. So if you don't want really, really soft soap, you need to be careful how much you're adding into these if you're not taking it from your base. But overall, it will just increase the amount of unsaponified oils and therefore sort of the soft feel of the soap on your skin. But yeah, there you go. Some soap science. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and place all these off to the side real quick. And because this particular fragrance oil is very well behaved in cold processed soap, I'm gonna add it straight into my oils, and I'm gonna add some kaolin clay in there as well, blend it up, and then let it sit for a few minutes to kind of soak up that kaolin and therefore create a stronger smelling bar. All right, so let's go ahead and blend up our soap. The recipe I'm using today is down in the description box below. It is my classic bubbles recipe that I have been using for years and years. It's my absolute favorite. We're just gonna blend this up until just past emulsion, a very light trace. That took no time at all, about 15 seconds for a batch of this size. So the first thing we're going to do is pour off our yellow layer. This is going to be the sand at the bottom of the ocean. About that much ought to do the trick. Then I'm going to shake in some poppy seeds and add all of the true yellow. So I've added more than I want it to be because, as we all know, yellows like to fade in cold process. So I've added a little bit more so it'll be a little bit brighter than I actually want it to be. And then as it continues to saponify, it will get even lighter. Then I'm gonna blend this up real quick, first with my spatula, and then we'll go in with my stick blender. I just wanna make sure that that yellow doesn't get stuck on the sides of this container. Let's blend it up real quick. And then I'm going to take my stick blender out after I wipe it down. Now, y'all know I don't typically do this. If I can get away with cleaning less while making soap, I will always do it. But because I feel this yellow may throw off some of the blues, I'm going to get as much of it off as possible. And it has poppy seeds in the batch. And we don't want those poppy seeds up in the swirl because that's not what the design said to do. So I'm getting all of them off. Now we've got a batter that's a little bit thicker, which means it will set up faster, which means we can pour the next layer faster. So it's exactly what we want. I've got my purple mold here. You can get this on Amazon. This is the mold that I recommend to new soap makers the most because you still get to make all the fun designs. You still get to cut the bars so that you can make designs that look like mine, if that's what you're trying to do, because I always make my designs on the inside and not on top. You need a loaf mold for that. It's actually linked in the sidebar. YouTube has given us the ability to link products now that we use in the video. So you'll be able to see exactly what I'm using in the sidebar for both my scale, my stick blender, and my mold. Now I'm going to tap this down really good to get rid of all of the air bubbles on the inside. Awesome, and we can go ahead and mix up our In the Pot Swirl. Now for this In the Pot Swirl, I'm going to have 3 pitchers here to pour my accent colors into. It looked to me like the blue color closest to Blue Tide seemed to make up the majority of the soap, so I'm going to add that into this container that has the majority of my soap batter. Next up, we've got that ultramarine blue. We'll add right here. That is going to be beautiful. Beautiful. Then we're going to add in that Tahitian teal. And finally, our kind of navy color, which is the ultramarine mixed with the black oxide. Because I went ahead and added the fragrance oil straight into my oils, the batter is starting to thicken up, which is great. It just means that I will have a little bit less time to blend the colors in. So to help the process along, I'm just going ahead and mixing with my spatula once again. I probably won't go back to my stick blender for this particular part of the soap. Amina, this is a beautiful design, my friend. You did an amazing job. Alright, so let's go ahead and start making our In the Pot Swirl. I'm going to start by putting in this navy color. I'm gonna try to separate as much as I can that Tahitian teal from the blue tide, because those two colors are the most similar, though still very distinct because of the amount that I added. Time for the ultramarine blue, and finally the Tahitian teal. I'm gonna give this one turn, just like that, and then we're going to pour it into our loaf mold after this quick commercial break. All right, using a popsicle stick to break the fall, I'm just gonna get this first layer of water in, and it looks beautiful. This is a perfect color combo and does look very much like the ocean. All right, we've got all that soap in there, so let me go ahead and tap it down to get rid of any air bubbles. After tapping this down, I can see that there's a little bit of extra soap, and normally I would just leave that on top because I'd be putting soap frosting on. But because today I'm going to be using a soap scraper, I'm gonna save myself a little bit of time and just remove any excess batter and make the top completely flush to the mold. All right, a lot of that excess has been removed. It's not completely level on top, but like I said before, I do have to scrape it, so I'm not looking for perfection on this first go round. All right, I'm going to let this set up while I go ahead and mix my soap frosting. So just a reminder, this is what we are trying to achieve on top, and they have specified to do it with soap frosting and a shark fin scraper. Now that's a little different than how I personally would choose to do it. Normally, I would make a soap cane, cut this shape out, and then add it to this soap freshly poured. So I wouldn't do it with soap frosting, I would just add it in post in like a pre-made shape. But I am following instructions today, and this is what the instructions say. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to cut out a soap scraper tool for the top of this, and then we'll mix up the soap frosting. All right, let's make the soap scraper. So the first thing that I'm going to do is try to mimic this shape as best I can, because this is the original design. I want to protect the integrity of it as much as possible. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trace an outline as best I can with a piece of paper here. And then if you notice how big my hand is, and I have very large hands, compared to the drawing, you can see that this is obviously not to scale. This is bigger than a bar of soap would be. So I think what I'll do is I'll try to make this shape, and then I'll probably try to outline it and then decrease it just by a little bit so that it fits on top of the bar that we're actually making a little bit better. I'm gonna mark here the edges of the bar, and then here's the top. All right, so here we go. That's roughly the same shape. Then I'm going to go on the inside, and I'm just going to decrease it ever so slightly. Okay, something kind of like that. Now, because it's going to be a scraper tool, it doesn't have to be exactly perfect on the piece of paper. I am going to be scraping it with cardboard, so the little teeny tiny bumps and wiggles will not be obvious in the end product. All right, let's go ahead and cut this shape out real quick. Awesome. All right, my little sharkly friend, I'm gonna add you right here. Then I'm gonna mark the shape with my pen here. Awesome. A little bit tall. So I'm gonna do the same thing that I did before and just cut it down to size a little bit more, just to kind of get that height more to where it should be. Okay, I think that's gonna fit our mold a little better. Yeah, definitely. And because it's less tall now, it will also fit into our shrink wrap bags way easier. I have cut it out now. I may tape off the ends of this, and then we will use it like so. We'll just hold it straight up, and I'll pull it across like that. And then any extra gray that will inevitably sit on the sides, I'll just remove with a popsicle stick. And then I saved all of that extra blue. I'll just tap that in, maybe make some little waves, and we'll be good to go. So let me go ahead and mix up that soap frosting. And voila, my soap frosting is ready to go. Now, how do I know it's ready to go? Well, I'm able to pull my spatula back and the soap frosting stays exactly where I push it. It doesn't move at all. And whenever you're doing any sort of scraping in a soap, this is the consistency that you need. So here's my mold. Let's start adding the soap frosting. I'll start here at the back towards me. And I am going to try to just place it in the middle. That way I have less cleanup to do on the sides. It may not matter a whole bunch. It could be that I end up having to clean up a lot anyway, but we're gonna shoot for making the least amount of mess as possible. Also, as I am mounding it up, I am doing my very, very best to make sure that there are no air bubbles, because air bubbles in a design like this could potentially ruin it. Just because if you cut the loaf and the shark fin has a bubble in it, I mean, it's just gonna look like the shark is deformed, and we don't want that. I'm also gonna continue to kind of use my scraper to measure. So like as an example, I know the height on this is probably more accurate towards the back. So I'm gonna add some more towards me. And then I'm going to touch down on the sides here. I'm also gonna use this kind of tiny spatula to help do the same thing. All right, so I'm gonna zoom you guys out just a little bit so you can get a full view of this soap. Now, things are about to get messy. I am pretty sure that things are gonna spill off the sides. I do have my soap bucket here. I will try to catch things and make them as clean as possible, but you've been forewarned. If that's not something that you can typically handle very well, I guess don't watch this. Also, I can already tell that I didn't put enough on the top, so I'm just stopping right now before we continue any further. This tip right here needs some more, and awesome. I'm glad that I caught that before I started scraping anymore. Also, it seems like the scraper tool is doing a relatively good job at scraping the extra gray off the sides. I don't know if that's because my base soap is already hardened up enough that that's possible, but I'm really glad that that's the way it is, and that I'm probably not gonna have to sit here and painstakingly remove all the gray with a tiny popsicle stick. Okay. Hopefully that is tall enough now, and we can continue with our scraping. Now, I'm not pressing down very hard. I'm just pulling, and I'm trying to pull straight. Now, I have a ton towards the back. I'm gonna place a baby wipe in the back so that when it falls, it doesn't fall directly on the table. Now I'm going to scrape off my soap scraper, get everything out of all the grooves, and pull it again. Now, this doesn't have to be exactly right all the way down. It doesn't have to be exactly even, but what I really do want is for every single bar to have that good pointy top. If that's not something I can do with the scraper, then I'll just go in with a popsicle stick and make sure that happens. But as of right now, not many bars have the pointy top. Okay, so I've tried to scrape it multiple times, and basically what I've run into is the bar doesn't want to grip to that very, very tip of the soap. I think it's just because the bottom has molded so well already. So here's what I'm going to do as kind of like a next best solution, because I just can't get it to grab on to that shape and just hold it, is to shape it in the best way that I can and let this sit for maybe like 10 minutes or so. And maybe that will give the soap enough time to kind of grab to this gray base so it won't all just want to come off in one big goopy pile. And while I'm doing this, still making sure that anything that resembles an air pocket gets removed. Okay, so after many minutes of me playing with this and trying to get it to cooperate, this is about what it looks like. Now, I'm not worried, because tomorrow, when I cut the soap, I will then take a damp sponge and I will just simply rub away all of this texture. While it looks very textured, especially probably for the camera, it's actually not that that deep. It's very, very much surface level. So I'll just wipe down all of those bumps and ridges, but the actual shape is exactly what we're looking for. So at this point, I'm just going to take my little popsicle stick here and clean up all the gray all the way down. So I don't really mind that I'm probably gonna have to take a lot out because over there I have all of that extra soap. So I'm not worried about, you know, giving this a good scrape. And it is wiggly down the middle. I didn't hold my scraper entirely perfect, but the good thing is that these are 1-inch bars. So as long as there's not a discernible wiggle between each larger than a 1-inch section, which there's not, you actually won't be able to tell that I wiggled it in the final soap design. I went ahead and gave one last scrape, which I do think did some good. Again, very, very light texturing, but I did get a more rounded top, just like I wanted. And now I'm just going to place some of that extra blue soap back into my mold. I'll give it a quick texture. All right, and at this point, here's kind of what we're working with. Here's the other side. So on this side, I'm going to add just a little bit of texture. I won't be able to get an entirely, like, completely flat soap. So I'm just going to gently touch this with my popsicle stick. So it'll look like the shark fin is kind of cutting the water and creating a ripple in it. So I'll do the same on this side. Careful not to over touch it here. All right, and then we're gonna spritz the top with some rubbing alcohol. So just spray all that. Hopefully that'll help protect it against any soda ash. And then we're not gonna add any glitter because the design did not say to. So this is it for now. We'll come back in with a sponge tomorrow. I might even do it before I cut the soap. It might be a little bit easier that way. But yeah, I'm gonna let this sit for 18 to 24 hours and then we'll come back and we'll clean it all up. I can't wait. I'll see you after this quick commercial break. Hey guys, just real quick, I wanted to pop in and say thank you for today's sponsor, Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community where millions come together to take the next step in their creative journey, with thousands of inspiring classes for creative and curious people on topics including illustration, design, photography, video, fine art, and productivity. Skillshare recently taught me how to make the perfect grilled cheese. And yes, I know, that's funny, but seriously, it was an 8-minute class. It was so easy, so quick, and I feel so much more equipped. And I love grilled cheese. Every time Caleb and I go into Dallas, we go to the grilled cheese factory and I get macaroni and cheese and bacon in a grilled cheese. And it sounds like a lot, and it is a lot, but it's also perfect. And now I feel like I could do something very similar at home and I don't have to drive 40 minutes. Thank you so much, Skillshare. The first 1,000 of my subscribers to click the link in the description will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare so you can start exploring your creativity today. Once again, that is 1 month free trial. There are so many things for you to learn. Just click the link down in the description box below. And that about sums it up. Thank you so much, Skillshare, and you guys enjoy the rest of the video. Okay guys, so I have let this sit actually much longer than I thought I would. It has really benefited from sitting, so I'm just gonna peel these off the side and I'm gonna push down very gently after lining this up with my soap cutter Evangeline. Very, very, very gently because I do not want that little shark fin to break. Oh yes. Pull one out of the middle, and this is what it looks like on the inside. Ah! Look at our little shark fin. Da-na, na-na, na-na-na-na-na-na-na. So let's talk about that swirl on the inside because that looks super good. I think all of those colors really do meld together. I love the yellow, and we will hold these up side by side with the original design. So here is the original design, and here is the bar of soap. Woohoo! I really, really hope that Amina loves this because it was so fun to make. It smells absolutely amazing, and honestly, it makes me so excited to make more fan designs in the future. Okay guys, question of the day. Is it more important to you that your soap look good and be artistic, or that it smell better, like vanillas, you know, like that's what I'm gonna call better because that's what I want my stuff to smell like. Do you want it to smell good and you're okay with a brown soap because of it? Or are you just sticking to the fruit smells so that you can get all the bold colors? I wanna know how you feel about it. Let me know in the comments down below. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel, leave me a comment down below, and thank you so much, Amina, for sending me this beautiful soap design. I absolutely love it, and I can't wait to send you your free bar. If you guys want to follow me on TikTok or on Instagram, I'm over there and posting almost daily. Be sure you do something fun for yourself today. I know things are getting very stressful. We're starting to be in crunch time for the holiday season, but it's so important that you take a little time to relax, take a deep breath, do a little something for you. I personally have started going to the gym, which I find very fun. My best friend Caroline brought me with her the other day, and I was like, wow, why is it so much more fun to work out with all of the equipment? And just having that little bit of time to myself to work on my body and sweat out all of the stress has been so helpful. Highly recommend. But of course, I don't really care what you do. I just want to make sure that you're taking care of yourself and you're doing something fun, whatever that may be. And I will see you guys in the next video. So until then, bye for now. Meow.